Good morning, Christopher.
Hi, Peggy. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing wonderful.
That's great. That's great. Christopher, thank you so much for making the time. And let me just, to our audience, let me just take the opportunity to introduce you quickly. Obviously, you can do that yourself as well. But I just want to tell you that I'm really excited to have you on our virtual summit, where we will cover the magic of opportunity and finding them anywhere. And so I'm really happy. And I know that you're somebody who are really looking at the root causes of challenges, right? Rather than only focusing on managing the symptoms. So I think that's something which makes you totally stand out. And you also are specialized in long-lasting change. So I think you're not the one person who is doing quick fixes. You're looking at what are the symptoms, right? What are the root causes of these symptoms and how do we create long-lasting change? So thank you very much for making the time. And why don't you start telling us a bit about what value you create in this world?
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. And just what you had mentioned when it comes to value, if we're going to be of value to anything, whether if it's in your business, your personal life, you have to be the example yourself. So one of the things that I had to learn, that if I was truly going to help an individual, whether if it's personal or professionally, help an organization, I had to be that example. So what that means is I had to fill up my cup in order to now have something for them to drink from to fill up their cup. See, in the past, over 25 years ago, I used to give from an empty cup, not realizing I was doing that, because I would go out of my way to jump through hoops to please you and to enable you. And I did that even in business, that I would go out of my way to do it for the client, rather than the client be part of the solution and be part of the experience, thinking that would help them. But see, that doesn't really help somebody. That keeps somebody stuck. And with that being said, when it comes to, providing value, you have to every day be the example and be a resource. So I have to do the things that are going to fill up my cup, so that when I give without expectation, they can now, from empathy and kindness, take that, draw their own conclusion what to do with it. And then I can continue to be a resource that I can refer, suggest, or recommend something that can help them to do something better. And when I do that, it's like kind of the law of prosperity, whatever you want to call it. It's like a boomerang. It comes around, and when it comes around to serve me, I can receive without resistance. It may not come back from that source I'm doing it for, but it will come back from somewhere else. But as long as it serves me in a healthy and productive way, both personally and professionally, I can fill my cup back up to then spill out to others.
Yes.
And continue that process.
Yeah, that's a beautiful approach. And I think what you're hinting at is the inner work, right? So yes. There is no outer result without inner work. So correct. What are your personal experiences in discovering opportunities, Christopher, in that?
Yeah, I know for me, like you said, that inner work, I have to do that inner work continuously. I can never take it for granted. I've been doing it for 25 years through a daily routine. As I had mentioned before we went live, I've been up since 4 a.m. I have a daily routine I do every morning. I get up at the right, exact time every morning. I make my bed, I meditate, I journal, I work out, I take a cold shower. I then will eat something very, very light, something like a piece of fruit or, some eggs. And then I'll read for a chapter or two out of a book, and then review my daily goals to the priorities that truly matter to move me and my business forward from what I did the late day or the evening before, that I go over to see if I have to modify anything. So that daily routine allows me to be laser focused through clarity. So that way I can focus on the priorities that truly matter. I can then, budget other times to do the things that will help complement those important priorities. Delegate anything else that is important and urgent that I can delegate, that I don't have to do, to free up my time to focus on those priorities. and then get rid of anything that does not serve me personally or professionally. Get it, throw it out the door. And it's through that I'm able to now see any challenge, obstacle, problem as an opportunity, not as something happening to me. So for me, I welcome challenges. I welcome problems. I welcome, it's not like I'm like wishing for them, but when they happen, I welcome them because I know without them, I can't turn it into an opportunity. And then from there, that can turn that opportunity into results, because it allows me now to see it happening for me, not to me. And then I can focus only on what I can control in that situation, letting go of what I can't control. And those are the things that being the example and being a resource as a strategist, a business strategist, an emotional intelligence expert, how I help my clients and organizations to be more productive, efficient, and generate results.
Right. I think that's very interesting. Like, if you could wrap it up, what are the key factors that contribute to recognizing opportunities? Can you name key factors, how to find those hidden gems?
Yeah, I mean, opportunities are all around us. So I look at it this way with opportunities, and this is a lot of times where people, I guess, miss out on the opportunity. They're always looking for hey, what is an opportunity that's going to, that's going to be about me? It's going to be an opportunity for a job, or, here's a great project you can work on, and it just kind of falls in your lap. See, I'm not saying those things aren't great and those things don't happen, but that you're not going to have as many opportunities that happen that way. The way I see opportunities is that they're available every day. Yes. They're always hidden in the challenge. So what are the challenges that are going around you? What are the challenges that are happening in the industries you serve? The types of businesses that you work with, the types of people that you work with. What are those challenges that they have that can be better?
Right.
What are the results they're seeking and they don't have? See, when you can get clear on that and you can communicate that to the other party, where now you're not telling them that, you're sharing and asking questions to get them to decide, they can see that for themselves. Well, there you go. There's an opportunity. An opportunity you could help them to fulfill. And I find that approach, I use it as a professional speaker for the last 24 years. I do that as a consulting coach, and I generate more opportunities that way than waiting for something just to fall in my lap.
Right. So you're basically coming from the perspective to look at the value you can create for someone else, rather
Correct.
than looking at the value you primarily create for yourself.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So if we look at that, what role does resourcefulness or creativity, or both, I guess, because it's these two items are very connected. What role does that play in finding?
Well, resourcefulness is just, again, your knowledge and experience, but it's not just your knowledge. It could be knowledge from other third parties or other sources, and just knowing that you have that at your disposal when you want to share. I know for me, I'm always coming from my three core values: transparency, honesty, and integrity. And integrity means that you do the right thing when no one's looking. And as a trusted advisor, if I'm going to give a resource that I know can help somebody that's maybe not from me, maybe it's from a third party, and maybe it may have nothing to do with me helping them, where it becomes a relationship that they will compensate for me. It may mean that I'm actually helping them through another person that can help them.
Right.
But I know I'm doing the right thing, because again, it goes back to what I shared earlier: give without expectation, receive without resistance. It comes back anyway from somewhere else. And oftentimes it's a better opportunity, a better project, a better circumstance, that type of thing, at least from my experience.
Right. So do you have a concrete example on how a creative approach allowed you to find opportunity, or allowed a client of yours to find opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you an example. As a professional speaker, and this is something I teach to professionals, how to use speaking. You don't have to be a professional speaker, and how to use it to create impact, create value, to be creative, and now monetize on the back end your business. So anytime that I speak, and I speak on a wide variety of different topics, it doesn't matter if it's a keynote or a breakout panel, whatever. I'm always again addressing that challenge overall that audience may have. They're not all going to have the same challenge. They're not going to all have the same results they're seeking. But but if we put it into a bucket, many could probably relate to say, yep, that's something I can relate to, that I would like to make better. And those are the results I'm seeking and don't have. As I do that neurologistically through sharing and engaging the audience, getting them to be part of the experience, I find that then you could see when I look at them, and then you could see in their body language that the wheels are turning, like, yeah, that's something that's really holding us back. That's something we need to look at. And now they're hearing it from their fellow peers that are in that room. I find that that's a creative approach for just about any profession that you can speak one to many to your core audience. Now in a captive room like that,
right?
Now they come up to you. And when they come up to you, they might be asking more questions. That can lead to another Zoom or Teams call. You build a relationship with them, peel back the onion, get deeper to what that challenge is that could be better, the results they seek to have. And then I would say for every 10 people I do that with, 2 or 3 people will hire me as their consultant.
As their consultant, right. That is really interesting. Now, if you look at the world at the moment, right? So there's lots of people who are faced with challenges. And I think it's really important to understand the role of adaptability, right, in seizing opportunity. So what's your experience with that? Like, what role does adaptability play?
Stability, you said?
Adaptability.
Oh, adaptability. Yes, I love that word. I love that word.
Yeah, sorry, it's a hard word for me to say, to be honest.
Oh, yes. Well, you probably, Peggy, you and I being in this area, we all heard the word agility, right? Yes. Agility is a big word, and especially in business, but even personal, because change is going to happen if you're going with it or resisting it. It's going to happen regardless.
Yes.
And there are things that we can control, and there are things that we can't control. And the reason why people get frustrated, overwhelmed, and stressed, or we're always constantly reacting to situations in business, is because we're so caught up in the control we can't control, and that's expectations. Think about it. You can't control expectations, whether if they're your own or other people or other situations, because the reality is you'll never be able to control another person or people or situations. The only thing you can control is what you bring to the table with that. I can maybe say, hey, if I'm going to go to a thing tonight that I know is not good for me, well, I can make a decision not to go. So I'm not going to put myself in that situation. I can control that. But once I'm in the situation, I can't control it other than if I can choose to leave. So where I'm going with that is that we can only control ourselves. So instead of operating from expectations, we can learn to operate from intentions, because we can control intentions in the moment. Expectations are always caught up in the past and the future, and they're tied to outcomes. And these are the things that lead to now being out of control, where we can't control. So if I lead from intentions, I can control my communication to myself and others. I'm always responsible as the sender or the receiver of the communication, because in a perfect world, it'd be both people, but I can't control another human being. So I can only control me as the sender, receiver. I choose to be assertive rather than passive aggressive in my communication. I can control my behavior and be an assertive rather than passive aggressive. So my behavior is in alignment with my communication. I can control my attitude. It's happening for me, not to me. So I'm not the victim. I'm not complaining and gossiping or deflecting onto others.
Yes.
I can control my emotions and how I respond versus react to situations and other people. Even if I'm upset or angry, I can take a breath. I can remove myself for 10 minutes. I can sleep on it before I send the email or respond to the other person. And then finally, my action. I can control my action to the priorities that matter. So when I focus on those 5 things, I can now see, this is where I'm going to address the question of adaptability.
Yes.
I can now adapt to what is, not what I think it should be. Because as soon as I operate from what I think it should be, I've tuned out other people's views or perspectives on what they see it as. And that's only going to further escalate the problem, because it's now my idea, or I'm right, you're wrong. It's about adapting to what is, even if I don't 100% agree what it may be overall, but I'm doing what's best for the situation and the people involved, or the customer, whatever that may be.
That is a super interesting way to look at it, because what you basically, let me just rephrase, you're saying don't focus on the expectations, focus on an intention, and basically stay in the present moment rather than project something into the future or look at how it should have been, how it was in the past. Is that correctly rephrased?
Correct. Yes.
Right. So that's also tying into a next thing. So what would you tell people to overcome challenges, like a current challenge they have? You know how these situations happen and you're suddenly finding yourself in a massive challenge. So
absolutely.
Question there.
Well,
do you have a
I would say that, hey, we all have difficult challenges, but like, if you think about in the past when you've had a challenge, and then you went through it, you might have fought it, you might have been really stressed out, maybe you had a couple anxiety attacks about it, but nonetheless, it worked out. For whatever reason, you look back and it all worked. As a matter of fact, it actually ended up opening up an opportunity that I didn't even see coming out of left field. Then something else comes up 2 years later, and then you repeat the same thing over again and forget that. So the whole idea is to look at a challenge. Don't see it happening to you, see it happening for you. And I know it's hard to say when you're going through a really, sometimes you could be going through a horrific situation, but you got to just say that again, what can I control? What can I not control? And I find that it's easy to say and do as another, but this is where a daily routine to get your mind into the moment and calm is where that will help you over time. And it's like putting money into the bank where it compounds. The more that you do that, the more your brain is going to rewire itself to be think in the moment, not in the past and the future. At least that's what it did for me.
Yes.
And I'm someone who came from ADHD. I was born with ADHD. I was high strung. I had a lot of anxiety. I stressed out. I would immediately react out of anger to every situation. If I could do it, anybody can do it, but it requires discipline and consistency. So you have to see a challenge as an opportunity to learn and grow, and then adapt to what is to move forward. And that's how I look at it now. And it doesn't matter how small it is, or in the middle, or how big it is. And I'm going through one right now. I have a mother who had an aneurysm in her brain. And I've been dealing with her in and out of the hospital for the last 3 weeks. And I'm managing that. I'm focusing on what I can control, what I can't. I'm doing what I can in those times to care for her. And I have a mentally ill brother on top of that I have to do that for. And I'm running a business. I have to be a husband. I got to be a father. Right. I'm not saying it's easy, but you have to be able to know how to adapt. And we're all going through something. So when you can know that, you're not alone.
Yeah, totally. And that's basically mindset mastery, right? So mindset mastery plays a massive role in that. And I think it's also about regulating your nervous system and this inner work you're mentioning, right? To really keep yourself in a state. So what practice do you recommend? Like for mindset mastery, do you have like a key practice or something where you say, I can change my state within like a moment?
Yeah. For me, it's again, discipline and consistency. And discipline means that you're doing the things that will serve you, even when you don't want to do it and you do it anyway. Just like Nike says, just do it. For me, it's a daily routine. It's a daily routine of getting up at a certain time. Meditation and journaling are the cornerstones of that routine. Because it's with that, it's when I meditate every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I can take out my head trash and journal anything that's in my mind. I can get on paper, and then I can look at it from a third-party perspective. When I can do those things, I have now the ability to be able to correct things that I need to do, because I'm not seeing it just from the way I like it, way I like it to be. I'm looking at it for what it is, and then how I can make it better for what I can control. So it's a daily routine, starting with one thing, do it for 30 days, After 30 days, continue to keep doing it and then add another one, layer it in on 30-day intervals. And then after 6 months, you'll have a routine of 6 habits that serve you to fill your cup. And then the evening, I do a gratitude list, maybe a body scan meditation, maybe, a couple times a week. But a gratitude list 7, so that way I'm not taking any hardships through the day to bed with me to disrupt my sleep, to have a groggy day the next morning. I can now be fresh and not take that to bed with me.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I think, what do you think is the key factor in one's psychology to manage that? Is there a key factor in one's psychology to really manage the state of mind?
Yeah, I would say that again, it's being focused, it's being in the moment. You have to learn how to be in the moment, because in the moment there are so many opportunities that we miss out because of fear. Fear blocks and blinds us to these opportunities, because again, we think opportunities just come out of the sky rather than they're disguised in challenges. Yes. And when you can be now mindful of that, you're more likely to create your luck. And as I do when I speak, when I'm out there meeting people wherever they are, I can uncover opportunities everywhere. And it's those are the people that understand that. So the key is to be present, and you can use, affirmations. Some people do affirmation, but I don't think affirmations in itself is a part of it in itself. It's not going to be the answer, but it's accumulation of being present, trusting the process, operating from intentions rather than expectations. For me, is where I've seen the best results come about long-term and more sustainable model.
Oh, that's great. So I'll get to the last question, and because you really answered that really nicely, because my next question would have been if you could share some magic tricks with us, but you just did, so thank you so much. Last but not least, how do you personally recognize that magic is happening?
Well, when magic is happening, when I just feel like, whether the emotions that I'm experiencing are negative or positive, because even negative emotions are good. Yeah. Because a negative emotion will always share with me something has to be addressed for that to move on to something else. And if I keep fighting it and avoiding it, because that's what I did for the first years of my life through addiction. When I gravitated towards alcohol, drugs, I had sexual addiction. That was my way to restrict it, not face it. But now it's a great messenger. So for me, it's through my understanding my emotional intelligence that I can never become complacent. I have to read into it each and every day. And as I work on that, I can now be a better example and a better resource as a mentor, a business strategist, an executive coach, a professional keynote speaker, a dad, a husband, whatever, for other people around me.
Thank you so much, Christopher. Is there a message you want to leave to the audience, a personal message?
I would just leave the quote I shared earlier: give without expectation, receive without resistance. And again, we're giving without expectation from empathy and kindness, one that empowers others to do for themselves, not going out of your way to please and enable people, and knowing when to put boundaries. And when it comes back to you, as long as it serves you emotionally, physically, financially, occupationally, ways to make you better organized, it serves you in your relationships, whatever that may be, receive without resistance. Because when you resist something, you're not only now denying it for yourself, which is not going to fill your cup, but you're denying it for other people that you could be impacting when you do receive it. It's energy, it's vibration. And I hold it sacred in my heart, and I operate from that statement, premise, modality, whatever you'd like to call it, each and every day.
Christopher, you've exactly done that. You have given without expectation today. So I thank you from the depth of my heart for that. It was beautiful to have you. And I'm so happy you could share your wisdom with the audience. And I hope they can receive all your messages without resistance. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. I'm looking forward to being in touch with you soon.
Thank you very much, Peggy, for having me.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.